Joining me right now on Kumite TV is rising middleweight prospect Justin Sumter. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Now let's talk about your teammate Nick Newell. A couple weeks back, he debuted for CES. Got the good win, got back in the winning column. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I think he did good. You know what I mean? He went in there and did what he had to do to get it done. Did it real quick. Didn't take really any damage. And it's always good when you have a hard training camp and you go in and fight and you barely even get touched. So I think he did a spectacular job. And now, full. It was kind of focused on him. Now it's kind of focusing on me and getting me ready for my next one.
Yeah, it must be nice to have someone like that, in training camp together, getting ready for fights. And now he goes in and gets that win, and he brings that energy for the rest of your camp, man. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel amazing. Actually, he's my head coach. So he opened up a gym, so he's my head coach. But just having him, just having his win. And then just like that momentum, like you kind of feel it, especially in training, like he did his thing. Now I have to do my thing, and it's pretty amazing.
All right, let's go back to your last appearance in the cage, Bellator 216. You got the neck crank victory over Ronaldo. Is that his name? No, Reginaldo Felix.
Yeah, Reginaldo Felix. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ranked top 50 fights of the year. Did you see that?
Yeah, I definitely saw that. Literally weeks and weeks after that fight, people were like, "Man, like your fight should have been on the main card. Your fight was by far the best fight of the night." And so I like to put on a show, and especially like being a top 50 fight of the year is pretty awesome. That's one of the check marks I can check off. Yeah, that was one. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, take us through your preparations for that fight and the fight itself.
Yeah, for preparation for that fight, you know what I mean? I kept everything the same, but what I did different for that camp is I started training with Glover Teixeira and his guys in Danbury. And, just training with them, they definitely have a different style. And, one training with Glover himself is like, it kind of put a feather in my cap. I'm like, okay, I'm training with the top guys. He just went in the cage and like demolished a young gun in the UFC, and I'm training with him, and I'm kind of hanging my own. So that kind of put a fire underneath me, and like like I'm like unstoppable. I can go in the cage and do whatever I want, and that's kind of what I did. I got caught early in the first round, but I showed my composure, I showed my ability to recover, and essentially, like if you watch the video to the very end and you see the announcer announce the round, I look at the ref and I was like, "Is that the second round?" Because I actually didn't know that I got knocked down. Look, I kind of figured something happened because my coaches were looking at me kind of concerned, but I was like, "Man, I thought I won that round," But I was able to recover from that knockdown, come back strong, and then come with the submission in the second round.
Are you working with Glover's team this time around also?
Yeah, I've been working with them a little bit. Like my the guy I'm fighting, Maki, real good guy. He's kind of a boxer. So what I've been doing, and I've also been training with Chad Dawson's pad holder. So just get my hands sharper because I always think that I can improve on every facet of MMA, from striking to the wrestling. And I think my striking in this fight is definitely going to be the key. I feel my grappling is kind of where it needs to be, but getting my hands right. So I've been working with Chad Dawson's pad coach for this camp. And still working every now and then, going up to Glover's to get some extra rounds in as well.
Well, that's a great combination of training right there, with Nick as your head coach, and you're going out to Danbury to work with Glover, and then Chad Dawson's pad holder. I don't know what's his name, man. His
name is Eric. I can't really pronounce it. I don't want to slaughter his last name, but his name is Eric. And a real cool guy. Like as soon as I linked up with him, It was like a connection. It's real down to earth. And you know what I mean? That's kind of how I like to build my camp. I want people that are kind of foster that idea of progress and, you know, development, you know, because you can't, I don't think, you know, there might be a coach that knows what he's talking about and is real good, but if you don't mesh with them, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. You kind of want to surround your people with people that are kind of like-minded and kind of can get on that same wavelength. So, you know, he says, do this, you do it, and then he's like, oh, you could do this, and I'm like, yeah, I thought about that. You know, you guys can just build and build. And, you know, luckily being in Connecticut, everything's like close and everybody's close like that, and it's been working out.
Well, July 9th, you head back to Vegas 1 year later for the Contender Series. Yeah. 1 year is a long time. You know, what do you feel is different about you this time around?
Yeah, different. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like the first time I felt like, oh, you know what I mean? I was there. You know what I mean? I was there to experience, and in my head, I kind of made it bigger than it was. You know what I mean? Like going in the Ultimate Fighter. You know, like you've seen countless fighters open those doors and make that walk, and in your head you kind of make a bigger picture than it actually is. And then, you know, when you go out there, it's like, I'm doing that. So, you know what I mean? I would say I was kind of shell shocked a little bit, and kind of surprised at how it really wasn't as much as I made it out to in my head. But, you know, this time around, it's like, you know, I belong. I've been there. I've done that. You know what I mean? It is just another day, another opponent, another 15 minutes in the cage, and all I have to do is perform like I know how, you know, get the job done.
For the Contender Series, you know, the percentage of guys that they bring back is very low. You know, you are in a lucky position, you know, like, you know, many would say. Do you feel lucky that you are coming back, or do you just feel like you deserve this spot?
Well, you know, if you look at the, you know, kudos to Ian Highness. If you look at Ian Highness, you know, like, he was one of the guys that should have been in the UFC already, you know, and they gave him this opportunity and he shined. For me, I felt like before I made that slight mistake, it was like neck and neck, and we were both were tit for tat, and you know what I mean, I had the upper hand on him, and I just made a mistake, and he was able to capitalize. Just my personality, I was able to, you know, I think I was the only person that, you know, immediately after I lost, I walked over to the cage and I was like, hey Dana White, hey Sean Shelby, thank you for the opportunity. Sorry to like disappoint you guys. And then they'll say, hey, you did a good job. And so, you know, that kind of stuck with me. So I think just my personality, and then, you know, what I did in the cage, even though it was a short period of time, it kind of showed out. And then, you know, my last fight, I was able to you know, perform like that. And it was just a combination of all that. And they're like, hey, this guy, I think he deserves another shot. And they gave me another shot. So, you know, I am lucky that, you know, they kind of kept their eye on me, and I was able to kind of go back in there. But I think I was, I think I deserve another shot. So
you're facing Maki Pitolo. You know, thoughts on him and his style stacking up against your style?
Maki's actually a cool guy. Actually, I trained with him a couple years back in Hawaii. I went there for vacation to see some relatives. Yeah, he's a real cool guy. He has a really, really unique style. He has a really decent pressure game, and he throws heavy hands. I think his grappling is underrated. I think a lot of people underestimate his grappling, but he's a real crafty guy on the ground. And you know, he is a little shorter, and I'm definitely, I have maybe 6 inches reach on him. So I think my stand up and keeping that range is kind of the way to go in this fight. You know, the fight could go either way, you know, onto the ground, but I think for the most part, keeping it standing, keeping it in that range is definitely going to be my forte in this one.
During the Contender Series, sometimes one contract goes out, sometimes 3 contracts goes out. You never know how Dana White feels on that day. You know, what type of performance do you think you need to have to get that contract, to get the eyes, you know, on you?
I really think, you know, I have to come in there with a finish. You know, it's kind of, I want to put on a good performance, but in my mind, them giving me the second opportunity, I really have to put a stamp on it. I could come out there and I can do a spectacular victory, for unanimous decision, showcase my skill, but and they could still give me a contract. But for me personally, I think I have to get the finish to get that contract.
I think if you replicate your last fight, that'll get you a contract, right?
Yeah. If I do that, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would definitely give me the contract. Like, what made me mad was, because Bellator doesn't do like the fight bonuses. You know what I mean? And like, hands down, my fight was the best fight of the night. Like, I would be like 50 grand richer. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. And getting that accolade of being in the top 50 of the fight of the year is pretty phenomenal. Because like, freaking that middleweight fight between Adesanya and Kevin Gastelum. That was I think that's like number 2 or something. I don't know, but it's high up there. So to be on the list with those guys is pretty awesome.
Now, when you do enter the UFC and you get into the middleweight division, what do you think separates you? What is the intangible that you have compared to every other middleweight in the division?
I can say that my skill. But everyone has a certain type of skill. I believe the way I'm still developing, and that's the awesome part of me. I think a lot of guys in there, they have their set standard, their set skill, and they're good at it. But I'm not trying to be like just a set person that has like good wrestling and he's a great boxer. I just want to have literally everything better. As soon as I step in the cage, I want to be completely better than I was before, and I just think that intangible ability to go for continual improvement. I think that will set me apart. Like a good person to look at is Johnny Walker, right? That's his name. It's just like he's just kind of, they're like, you really don't know what you're going to get as soon as you step in the cage, and that's kind of what I want to be when I step in the cage. I just want them to say, what is this guy going to do next? What is this guy going to do? And I think I can bring that aspect to the middleweight division, because I don't think there's really anybody like that, because you got Adesanya. He's like, what he's going to do. He's going to strike, and he might throw a crazy triangle at the end of a round, but and those guys are at the top, and they're good at what they do. But put me in the mix, and you're definitely going to see something spectacular.
All right, well, it all starts, July 9th, Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series in Las Vegas. Thank you, Justin, man, for your time, and good luck on your future.
Hey, thank you very much. Hey, my name is Justin the Fort Sumter. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Fort Sumter MMA, or Facebook at Justin the Fort Sumter. I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, always Orange Ale House, Wash and Wag, Pet Grooming, Gracie Medical Group, Redwood Coast CBD, and Foundation RX. Those guys have really supported me ever since I started, and really appreciate their support.